Hey everybody, welcome back. Low Budget Productions is here with episode number 2 of Gillian's return to competitive bodybuilding. The first video was just a little bit of a background, and we're going to take a little bit further of a deeper look into this process. So I'm Scott Conway, this is my wife Gillian Ward, and we have questions by Gillian for Gillian, and hopefully you all enjoy the show. All right, so Gillian, you're about 4 months away from your return to competitive bodybuilding. And I think a lot of people are wondering, given the fact that you excelled in CrossFit, to include the CrossFit Games, powerlifting, strongman, why bodybuilding?
I'm choosing to return to bodybuilding because I believe this is something that I can do safely and be kind to my body. I'm now in my late 40s, I'll be 47 in 2 weeks.
She's 29.
and for decades to come. So if I had my dream to return to any kind of competition, Gillian, you can do anything that you want. I'm just gonna be very, very honest, it would probably be a return to the CrossFit Games. But my body, I recognize, cannot handle that type of stress.
Yes.
I have been working out consistently now for 45 years.
That's quite a run.
And I have quite a number of overuse injuries. You know, I've got like an arthritic neck and spine, and there are just certain things that do not make sense.
Okay.
Because I am looking much further out than the competition in November. I am looking at a long life of health, longevity, being able to move. So my choice with bodybuilding really came down to I could return to competition at a fairly high level and do something that is not the risk on my body as returning to performance-based sport.
Well, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay,
How did I answer my own question?
I don't know. I thought you did pretty well. Hopefully you all leave something in the comments below. Okay, so you talked about your return to competitive
Yes.
bodybuilding, but there's a lot of people out there that they're really starting to get their interest piqued about maybe trying competitive bodybuilding for the first time.
Yes.
So you are an IFBB pro
Mm-hmm.
in bodybuilding. What advice would you have for our first-time competitors out there?
So for a first-time competitor, I usually like people to choose. We're assuming they're already working out. They're
Right.
not just getting into the gym and saying, I want to compete at this point.
We're not
saying
talking about the New Year's resolution.
That they
We're
are-
talking about somebody who's been training.
already in training. I like the idea of setting a goal date.
Okay.
When you have a shoot for, you're much more motivated.
Right.
It's much easier to manage. You have the end in sight.
Right.
So an initial goal date is very, very helpful. And it should be a realistic goal date given your body composition,
Right.
given your level of training.
Yeah,
So-
if I'm riding at 25% body fat, we're not picking a
Yeah.
show that's in 12 weeks.
Or a relative goal date. When I say a goal date, I'm talking about a window.
Right.
The other thing is to have a plan.
Okay.
So there are so many different plans that work, but it's about sticking to a plan.
Okay.
And if you're not sticking to the plan, you don't know what it is that you have done. So
Well, it's a plan, but it's a plan
yes,
to fail.
have a plan and follow that plan.
Right.
And track and log and record what you are doing.
Okay.
Sometimes we think we're doing something, but we're not quite sure. So what I'm saying in terms of that is if you have a plan with your food, you know, you're like, I think that I ate this, I'm not sure if I ate this, be logging it. Whether logging it is logging in MyFitnessPal, whether it's some other version of it.
Like
same
a
thing-
visual food diary.
Something like that for a
Yeah.
bodybuilding competitor would probably need to have a little bit more accuracy
Okay.
than that. Same thing with training, like keep track of your numbers, keep track of your rest, keep track of how you feel, keep track of soreness. So having a plan.
Right.
And that plan may be something that you've come up with on your own. Maybe you've sought out a coach, maybe you're using an app to do that.
Okay.
But I think the two biggest things for a first-time competitor are management of expectations.
Okay.
Stop comparing yourself to what everybody else is doing.
Boom.
You are trying to be the best version of yourself. You may not even know what category you're competing in. So women will come to me in my bikini, in my figure, in my wellness. We may not know in the beginning.
Okay.
So you cannot make yourself essentially something different than what you are.
Right.
So, you know,
You got to work with what you got.
you've got to work with what you've got. So you want to be the best version of yourself. And so sometimes I won't place somebody into a category until we've sort of seen their body start
Right.
to shape up. You kind of have a general idea. It's also not a bad idea to possibly plan for 2 categories
Okay.
in terms of learning the posing. And what I see other than people comparing themselves is they expect to look like a pro.
Right.
If somebody is coming out for the very first time, it is your first time doing it, your expectations should not be that of a pro.
Right. And I think it's important for first-time competitors, and this is something that you're doing this time, is to enjoy the process.
More than anything else, to recognize as a first-time competitor, you're not getting paid to do this.
Right.
This is not, your life doesn't depend on this. And to put it in perspective and realize that you're going out there, you're doing something fun, you're taking your body kind of to new levels.
Right.
And the most important part is to enjoy yourself during it.
Yeah, bring those of us who are with you along for the ride.
And not have the experience based solely on the placing.
Right.
You know, we've talked about in the past that what happens is the end. Like if you don't get a medal or don't get a trophy, you look back and you think you did awful and you're upset at yourself, but look at where you have come from, so a first-time competitor.
Okay.
So really manage your expectations, stop looking around at what everybody's doing, follow the plan that you have set out so you know whether or not it's working, and have a great time with it.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of competition, there are some other competitions that are going on right now because yesterday was the official first day of the Olympics in Paris.
Yes.
So you love the Olympics.
I love the Olympics.
You consider yourself a little bit of an Olympic historian and subject matter expert. So how does it feel watching the Olympics as you are getting, and watching those competitors have their moment as you are getting ready to have your moment on the stage?
The Olympics makes me very emotional. It is very near and dear to my heart. So my childhood dream was to be an Olympic gymnast.
Right.
Never came to fruition. A psychologist could probably explore why that's possibly at 47 years old while I'm still on an athletic pursuit, but that was my dream.
Okay.
I started gymnastics not long after Nadia Comaneci had a perfect 10 in the 76 games. Mary Lou Retton in 1984 was so much of my idol that I wore her replica leotard. I wore jeans over it, but I wore it to school frequently.
We'll just leave it at that.
So the Olympics, they are so inspiring. I mean, we live at a crazy time, definitely not going to get into that, but to watch the entire world come together, where the differences don't matter, the amount of just see human excellence and sportsmanship in those moments. To me, it is the most moving experience, and I have some of the best memories over my lifetime. And I'm obviously super excited to watch Simone Biles compete.
Absolutely. So there have been a couple of chill moments already, so that is awesome. Okay, now we talked about don't look around at what everybody else is doing if you're entering into competition, but social media is a little bit of a magnet, and sometimes it's hard to avoid that. Do you consider yourself a fitness influencer? Well, let's just start with that. Do you consider yourself a fitness influencer?
Not by today's standards.
Okay.
When you examine what a fitness influencer is, if I'm like, oh, these are influencers, no, I do not consider myself that. More than anything, I consider myself an educator first. And also I like to share my own experiences, but in the modern day example of what a social media influencer is, I will never be that.
Yeah,
I mean, look at our low budget productions.
LBP.
We have dogs snoring and frogs croaking. And
we've got a lawnmower, we've got wind, and we're working on the audio. Maybe in one of the next videos, we'll up our game just a little bit. But yeah, we're very organic when we do this. So how do you use social media? I mean, this is going on YouTube, it's probably going on Instagram, Facebook, a few of the other platforms. Why social media?
To teach, to educate, to inspire, to share my story. You know, I've been at this for a very, very long time. We've talked about it for over 45 years. I have consistently trained. I feel like I have a message that's important to share. And part of the reason why, I will not, or generally I have not repped a brand or a product or something else, is I believe it loses something. Everything that I put out there, I believe in wholeheartedly.
Right. Well, I think the important thing is to keep true to yourself. Keep true to your message. And you have been called the nicest person on the planet. And you have such a great message. And it's it's nice to see you on social media putting out the reality of what's going on and not necessarily the best lighting on the best day with your best accomplishments. It's just, this is us.
So, I mean, I would like to do a better job with it, but what I really want to do is get the stuff out there.
Right.
So if doing a better job with it limits what I can get out there, really what's important to me is to get it out there.
Absolutely.
Have people learn from it, have people be able to ask questions, whether it inspires people, somebody has had a similar experience.
Right.
So that's my reasoning for it.
Okay, so let's get back to the competition process. So we've been watching your body change over the weeks, and is this about what you expected? Is your body doing what you expect it to? And have you learned anything about yourself over the last 8 weeks since we started this process?
Yes, this is gonna sound crazy, but my body is actually cooperating more than I expected it to.
Wow, all right.
I'm gonna be honest, I was terrified. It has been 7 years since I have pushed myself, since I have committed to competition, and I wasn't really sure how my body was gonna respond. So I am actually amazed at how much my body is cooperating. And again, this is the first time that I gave over to training specifically like a bodybuilder.
Right.
And what I'm amazed at is that after all of these years of strength training, so like, I mean, I'm even gonna consider gymnastics a level of that, of over 40 years, I have stressed my body with resistance work. And I kind of thought there was nothing left for it to give. And
Right.
I am amazed that by using bodybuilding principles that I have actually been able to change the shape of my legs. I've been able to add some muscle to my legs. I've been able to change my shoulders a little bit.
Right.
So to prove, at 47 years old, almost 47, as such a highly trained individual that my body still can change has really been amazing
Right.
for me. So I'm happy about that.
All right, shout out to the coaches out there who are helping people get those new realizations. So I'm not gonna say an old dog new tricks because she's not old, but an experienced, seasoned dog learning new tricks. All right, last question before what we have this week is the lightning round. So what's the hardest part of competition prep and how are you handling it?
So I'm gonna be very honest. The easiest part for me, the easy parts are the training. I love to train. I've loved to train my whole life.
Yes, she does.
I am gonna train whether there's a competition or not. So training is the easy part for me
Okay.
because I derive so much joy from it. The diet is also fairly easy for me because is there anybody more neurotic in prepping and planning than I am?
No,
So
said with love.
So the diet is also easy for me. Being hungry, I'm not gonna say is comfortable,
Right.
but it's something that I'm used to and I can handle. So those aspects of it are not the hard parts for
Okay,
me.
so the hard part,
There's two hard parts.
okay,
There's maintaining balance overall in life
right,
and not honing in so much and being so laser focused that I don't see the panorama,
okay,
that I don't see the other things in life that are more important to me. So keeping balance, which you have been exceptional for me for that,
thank you,
and not shutting out the self-doubt.
right,
So I'm gonna be honest, I am terrified. I am putting all of this out there in a very, very public way. I am going to get on the professional IFBB international stage for everyone to see in November, having not done this now in 7 years,
Right.
whatever happens out there. So I do, I do have feelings of self-doubt that creep in, and I think that's very normal. I start every day, I'm in a good place, the day goes on, even for me, you see a bad picture of yourself, or you get a glimpse in the mirror, or we get filled with kind of these negative things. So
Right.
I do have an amount of doubt and fear, and it is managing that, staying positive, and not kind of jumping the gun on the process. So what I mean by that is not trying to expedite it.
right,
So I have set, like my coach sets a number of calories and macros, and I am not doing better by eating less.
Right.
So the process should take an amount of time, and it is staying committed to the process. And again, not getting scared, like training. More is not better, better is better. Should I do extra sets or extra something else or go do extra cardio? And the answer is no. So trusting the process enough that I could hold back the reins and do what I'm supposed to do. So
Right.
I rambled, but those are my answers.
They're good answers, and I'll tell you what. So you've had a lot of support that has come out since we started putting the word out. Thank you all for lending some support to help shut down those self-doubt moments.
And I do want to say something. This experience has been so rewarding so far. I have reconnected with some old friends, and I am getting emotional even thinking about it. But like, I am going to be talking to Kim tomorrow, who's a dear old friend from gymnastics from when I first started gymnastics. I've written stories about her and talked about her and public speaking things, and we haven't spoken or seen each other in about 15 years. But the support that I am getting has been incredible, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Shout out to you all. All right. Well, that was the 6 questions, but now we have a new feature, the lightning round. So, Gillian, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, no thinking, just give me an answer.
Can I ask you them back?
Sure.
Okay.
Nothing like a one take. All right. Fill in the blank. My favorite food is?
New York style pizza, but it's got to be good, like a New York slice.
Okay, so we're talking
We call it a slice there, not a piece.
It's a piece. What's on it?
It's a slice, plain New York style pizza.
All right.
I feel
pizza also, but I like to celebrate all of the meats. So if I'm going to have just a regular piece of pizza, it's going to have pepperoni on it, but that's about it.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, here we go.
Do you prefer the pizza that I make or pizza from the pizzeria?
If it's pizza from the pizzeria in New York, I like that. If it's anything else, I prefer your pizza.
Okay.
So this is not scripted, and I'm not just saying things to make myself not go through harder training sessions. Okay, question number 2. This is lightning round. Why are we bogged down here? I feel most confident when I am wearing
workout attire or like a formal evening gown.
Ooh, one end of the spectrum to the other.
I like my gowns.
You do? You like your gowns and you like to accessorize. So.
What about you?
Actually, believe it or not, shocker to no one, we kind of share a brain, a tuxedo. So I wore a uniform for 3 decades. We just went on a cruise and I put a tuxedo on for the first time, and the way that I felt, the way that I carried myself, I think I noticed it and other people noticed it. It was pretty awesome.
It was.
A little James Bond moment right there. Okay, number 3, a perfect day is?
Can I have a season for a perfect day?
Sure.
Okay.
You wrote the questions. So.
Okay. So if we were to transport back to our previous life in Vermont,
okay.
Perfect morning would be wake up, light a fire.
Oh yeah, in the wood stove.
An ample amount of time to have coffee.
Right.
Probably 2 cups with really nice conversation.
Yep.
Leave ourselves 90 minutes or so. A nice big breakfast looking out the mountain. And then a wonderful hike with Hank, like a nice wilderness hike where he's off leash, streams chasing everything. There's fairly deep snow. Yeah, okay. Because I fall down a lot, a little cushiony.
You're not alone in the falling.
An afternoon nap at some point in the day. Definitely an afternoon nap.
Cheers to that.
I cook something awesome, and we have our dance party to Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, sundown.
Okay, that may have been a little weird.
It was also a little long for the lightning round, but.
So a perfect summer day is going to be very, very similar, but replaced by that is there's definitely a workout in there. There's coffee time. There's definitely a workout. We would probably spend the day out on the boat.
Right.
And I think if I'm having the perfect day, there would be some amount of friends or family in there, probably for an evening meal. And I would be the one that cooks.
All right.
That's a perfect day.
There we go.
What about you?
Anything involving the boat, the Brinkley.
What's a Brinkley?
The Brinkley is our RV. By the way, check them out, brinkley.com. Our Jeep, our dogs, and of course you. So anything with all of those things, and I think we'll be just fine. I dreamt of blank as a child.
I dreamt of being an Olympic gymnast.
Okay.
I dreamt of being a circus acrobat, and I dreamt of having a fitness TV show.
Okay. Well, we kind of do. All right. So, well done.
What about you?
I've done what I dreamt of doing as a child. I just retired from it last year, so I wanted to be a military officer, and I was a Marine officer for 30 years. So that is done. Now I am establishing new goals. So, all right, last but not least, question number 5 in the lightning round. I'm going on a trip and I must pack what?
A noise machine?
Okay.
Because I need some amount of movement, like a fan or something, and we don't always have that. So some kind of noisemaker, comfortable shoes for whatever it is that we are doing on that trip, because
Right.
I have learned my lesson. I need to have the right footwear. So noisemaker, comfortable shoes, and you know me, I am always going to bring some very, very dressy outfit, even if we have
We're going camping.
Even if we're going camping, but I'm going to have it on hand in case you take me on just like a date night out of nowhere.
Yeah. Grandma Shirley is alive and well, so.
That's what I'm bringing.
Okay.
What are you bringing?
I bring everything.
Little
I
bit of
don't
an
bring
overpacker.
I don't bring a thing. I bring everything because it's better to have and not need than need and not have. So I have way too much. I'm not a backpacker anymore. When we go, it's usually in one of our vehicles, and if you've got room for it, you got room for it. So
I appreciate the rain gear and all of the safety gear and all of the precautions that you take.
yeah, you got to plan ahead.
Yeah.
So plan for the worst. So all right, well that's all for the lightning round of questions. We're sitting around 21 minutes. So I want to thank you all very much for sticking with us throughout this video series. And I promise you, we're going to get a little bit better with the audio and maybe not have our dogs pawing at the door as we're having these conversations. So if you would please like and share this video with anybody you think might get something out of it, and subscribe to the channel because it does help us out. And if you've got any questions that you want me to ask Gillian, and not just questions that Gillian wants me to ask Gillian,
Please help me out. If you guys make questions, I will not have to write them for myself.
all good. All right, well thanks again everybody, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Take care.